What's up, Bulls Nation? Welcome into the CHGO Bulls podcast, presented to you by DraftKings, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Full house today. Welcome in. I'm Peck. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. Big Dave is at BAL, BAWL Sports, with a dope Bulls hat. Is that a new Bulls hat, Dave?
Oh, Matt, I've had this hat probably 5 or 6 times, and you've seen it all the time. So, yeah.
All right, cool. It's just very shiny and reflective while we're doing this in 2 dimensions. I haven't noticed that before.
I mean, I'm sure you're doped up on a lot of things right now, so I'm not going to hold it to you, bro. So I'm going to let it go. It's all good,
I'm
man.
simultaneously podcasting and sucking on a cough drop. Will the Go Gottlieb is Will_Gottlieb. And joining us, the 4th member of our crew, it's Mark Karadzolis, MK Hoops on Twitter. Mark, what's up, pal? How are things?
Oh, I'm well, guys. I'm just thinking, should I change my last name to Kent? What do you reckon? No one's gonna get that reference, but we do. That's fine.
No.
Oh, I don't
I
even
think
get
you
it. I
should
don't even
change it
get
to
that
Bogans.
Mark
well,
Bogan
guys,
sounds better to me, yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't know about that one. Maybe Patrick Williams should change his name to that. Seemingly getting that rotational shift.
Coming in hot.
10 points last night, Mark.
How many rebounds?
Double figures.
How many rebounds?
2 assists.
Wow.
He actually played basketball last night.
Nah, look, I'm not going to trash Pat today. Let's talk about other stuff.
Too many good vibes. Hope everybody out there in Bulls Nation is enjoying a victory Thursday. Bulls off today before a Friday, Saturday, back-to-back. Some fun stuff to talk about today. We want to dive a little bit further into just what we've seen from Nikola Vucevic, the Bulls' big man, who despite, once again, some slumpy shooting numbers, is doing a lot of other really positive things for the Bulls on the floor in their 3-2 start. Also wanted to take a look around the league now that we're a week plus into the season and talk about a few different teams that have caught our eye for both good and bad reasons. But we wanted to start today's show with some fun, silly nonsense. Some of it being the Pacers' actions at the end of last night's game, and some of it being a Bulls legend charging an arm and a leg for a game of horse, apparently. But let's start with the end of Bulls-Pacers last night. Joey, do you have this tweet that was from the official Pacers Twitter account after last night's game with the caption, it's not over? There you go. There you see it. And it is the Rook, Benedict Mathurin. Instead of letting Dalen Terry just run out the clock on the game's final possession, stealing the ball and trying to get himself a quick bucket. I mean, we briefly touched on this as we wrapped last night's postgame, Dave, but I wanted to revisit it just because I am usually not one who is a fan of the whole unwritten rules thing when it comes to either basketball or baseball and the whole throwing at guys, pitchers and batters and all that, the unwritten rules stuff. This to me was Bush League nonsense. I saw somebody in my replies with a very astute point of flip that situation on its head. If Dalen Terry went and dunked the ball in that meaningless last possession, you think the Pacers would have been pleased about that? So I'm just curious. And Will, I haven't gotten your take on this. Mark, I haven't gotten yours either. So what do we think about this? I know that Vooch was talking to him at the free throw line last night, clearly expressing his displeasure with that. Bush League, bother you or don't care? Mark, what about you?
I'm not, just as a general principle, I'm not against unwritten rules, but this one I could not give a shit about. I don't understand why this is a rule. Who created this unwritten rule? Why is it an unwritten rule? Why do we care so much about it? I don't know. I've never understood this specific one. Maybe there's other ones out there that you could maybe talk me into. But for this particular one, I just don't really care. But having said that, I do appreciate that people do care. That way I can then sit back and laugh at them. And look, I do enjoy when you get mad at things, Matt. And in this particular case, I specifically like this one. When I saw your tweet around this and when you guys were talking about it yesterday, I was like, okay, cool. I don't care, but it's good content for me to just consume in that sense.
Did he think the DraftKings spread on this game was 20 instead of 2? The Pacers, I think, were 2.5 point dogs come into this game. As a general rule of thumb, I just don't care about this kind of stuff. And yeah, I think that's fair to say that that's kind of the answer for me on this one. It's definitely annoying, but yeah, I don't take offense to it. It's just dude, you're down 20. Like, what are we doing here? Like, we're just like the game for no reason. Like, let's hit the locker room. Let's go home.
-7, and they were down 14. So even if you were trying to do something along the lines of the line of that game, it was out of reach.
He like bought some points or something. Like, what are we doing here?
Honestly, I'm with you. Honestly, it didn't bother me at all. The only thing that it didn't bother me until I saw the Pacers retweeting "It ain't over," and I was like, "That's some loser team shit." Like, I was like, "Why y'all doing that?" Like,
it was over.
That's what bothered me. Like, yeah, exactly. It was done. Like, what is it? It ain't over.
There's 7 seconds left, you guys. We're down 18.
You don't stop playing until the clock goes off. It was, it was stupid to me. Like, to see the tweet that bothered me more than the actual play. Like, because I saw it and I was like, okay, all right, he did that. And I was like, well, cool. Dalen Terry and him are now, getting into it with each other. I like the fire. I liked all that stuff about it. You know what I mean? But after I saw the Pacers tweet, that's when it bothered me, because I would have been pissed if the Bulls had did something like that, because that is what loser teams do. Like, nobody cares that you were down 14 and got a steal and tried to score. Like, it meant nothing. And that's the only thing that bothered me about it. But overall, I promise you, I could have cared less.
I don't think it was as bad as, I mean, it definitely wasn't as bad as when the Bucks tweeted the Grayson Allen gif after Caruso.
Yeah. No, that's different. Yeah, clearly.
Grayson killed Caruso.
You're not getting me started.
Don't get Matt yelling. He's not feeling well. Don't do that.
But like that was like disgusting. Whereas this was just like, all right, this is like what a 18 win team has to do in order to like
exactly
get through the season, because it's going to be a long one for them.
We have conflicting opinions in the comments. D-Life HD saying it's a dumb rule, play to the final whistle. AK saying he thought it was silly and the outcome was settled. I mean, it's not a dumb unwritten rule, in my opinion. What are you going to do? What if Mathurin or Dalen Terry gets hurt on that play? Because Dalen Terry was pissed that Mathurin pulled that BS. And then so he's like, all right, well, I'm going to foul you and not give you these 2 easy free points. What if one of those guys gets hurt on that completely meaningless play at the end of the game? It's stupid, and that's why that unwritten rule is there. And it's the same reason why the unwritten rule of don't dunk on the final possession if you're up by double digits at the end of a game in the final seconds, because it's unnecessary and it's in poor taste. It's bad sportsmanship. And like, I'm sorry if Mathurin is a rookie trying to be like, I got to prove myself. I got to prove to Coach Carlisle that I'm going to keep fighting. And, I can't remember if it was Stacey or Adam, but one of them pointed out in that broadcast that Carlisle has a tendency to be one of those coaches whose guys will not quit until that final whistle. And you saw the Pacers keep trying to get back in that game. Credit to them. But how about prove it earlier in the game before the game's outcome was already decided? Because that, if I'm a coach, doesn't show me jack shit. All it shows me is that you're a Bush League guy trying to pull some BS nonsense at the end of a meaningless game.
But like, Mathurin's averaging over 20 points per game in his first 5 games. What are you trying to prove here, dude? Like, but like, get it. You're a very good scorer, and it's clearly the Arizona thing with Dalen.
Well, that's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah,
it's whatever. Like, I get it. Whatever. I agree that like if an injury had occurred, then it's probably a different story, and so maybe like the process is more important than the results on that one. But this just it just is annoying to me.
No, this is like in football when guys are up like 56-0 and they're still trying to go for a touchdown, and then teams get mad about it. And I'm like, what the hell did you do for the first 56 points then? Like, why didn't you get mad about it?
Yeah, they're down.
Don't care.
They get a field goal and then they don't care.
I don't care.
That shit that Mathurin did was the equivalent of like a D lineman in, okay, we're in victory formation. We're about to take the last knee of the game to kill the last, seconds of the clock. Trying to like make something happen by like shoving an offensive lineman across from them on a kneel down. It's like, dude, you already lost the game. This is not the time.
Yeah, now that stuff is stupid. Now that stuff is stupid. Matt, do you remember when the Bears played Green Bay? I can't remember the player, but the Green Bay Packers were kicking the crap out of the Bears, fourth quarter, and the guy gets a sack on Aaron Rodgers and does a celebration, and then in the midst of his celebration, Lamar Houston, in the midst of his celebration, he tears his ACL and he's out for the year because he was celebrating on a meaningless dumbass sack. That's like it's that. No, I hear you. I feel you on that kind of thing right there. But him just playing and getting a steal against a dude that he came up in college with and doing it like that, it didn't bother me at all. And I bet you next time Dalen Terry is going to be focused on that kind of thing. Like he's not going to be lackadaisical with his dribble anymore when it comes to that kind of thing. So I took that as the learning experience. But no, the Pacers saying it's not over just bothered me more because it just sounded like loser shit. And that's what bothered me more than anything.
Yeah. Is it worse when like the losing team does this? Like, for example, like obviously in this instance, Mathurin does it. He steals the ball. He gets 2 points. It's irrelevant to the actual outcome. But like role reversal, if Dalen did this and the Bulls end up winning by an extra 2 points, how do we feel about that? Like we're talking about this from a sportsmanship point of view. I would imagine that's worse in that instance if you're up and you're sort of rubbing in the face there. Like in this case, like I completely agree with Dave. I agree with Laro in the comments here as well. Like these dudes were friends in high school. If Will's dribbling at half court and there's 10 seconds left, I'm going to be hassling his ass, just trying to steal the ball off him and make him look like a goose, even though in doing so, I look like an absolute... Your handle's loose, mate. I'm sure your handle's loose, so I'm sure I can take it away. But I just don't think it's that big a deal. I don't care. But also, like, role reversal, would we be banging on about it if Dalen did it? I don't think we would be.
I would call him out for doing something Bush League if it was Dalen
Would
Terry
we have a segment on the next day?
But like, I think the issue here is more the tweet than the play, right?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
For me, it is. Yeah, for me, it is. It's the tweet that bothered me more. And then Matt's tweet was even more brilliant. Like it was over. Like yes, it was. It's done.
Sorry to tell you guys.
It's done. Like guys, we lost by 12 instead of 14. Great. Let's go to the next. Oh,
right. Although I was wondering about some people who would maybe bet the live, over under of that game. Because I believe that before the game started, the over under was like 233.5. And then those final free throws from Mathurin, I believe they were at like 231. So some people probably had money on the line with those meaningless free throws that were very unhappy about it. Anyway, just wanted to revisit that because we didn't really talk about it last night. And I know Bulls Twitter was interested in some of the things that the Pacers were doing and tweeting. Shout out to our guy Debo the Black Panther, who was hanging out with us post game last night here in the super chat saying go Bulls. And as Mark said, our guy Laro hanging out in the comments as well. Real quick, guys.
Met Laro last night at the game. Shout out to you, Laro.
Hey, and Salim, right?
And Salim.
Gems both in the Bulls podcasting family. Real quick, Bulls injury update did just come through. The Bulls injury report. Zach is, as many of us expected he might be, questionable tomorrow night. Left knee injury management. Front end of a back-to-back. I would not be surprised if Zach doesn't play tomorrow, but there it is officially on the injury report. Zach questionable. You guys have any?
Sit the away game against the poor team. Come back on Saturday at home against the Sixers. I have no problems there.
It's not his night. It's just that simple. It's DeMar's night. And so, yeah, you sit that one out. It's about DeMar DeRozan tomorrow.
Why do you say that, Dave? Tell the people.
Oh, because he reaches the 20,000 points playing. Yeah, reaching the 20,000 points. He's about 7 points away. Playing against the Spurs and, Greg Popovich, who obviously meant a lot to him during his time there when he was on the Spurs. And yeah, it's his night, man. And he spoke about it already, how he wants to do this against Greg Pop, how cool it would be to do that in front of Pop. So it's a big deal for him, man. It's his night. Zach can have a seat, you know what I'm saying, and just relax. And yeah, it's all about DeMar getting his 20,000.
Definitely. And he will. And I thought he was going to get it last night.
All right.
I'm glad he saved it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be cool for him and for Pop that he'll get to make that huge trial in San Antonio. All right, guys, real quick. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but it was going around Twitter today. Bulls legend, Hall of Famer, 175 greatest players of all time, 6-time NBA champ, is apparently teaming up with Neiman Marcus to sell a day with Scottie and Scottie Jr. And in case you haven't seen it, Joey, I think I gave you a couple of screenshots from the Neiman Marcus website. Here you go. An all-star moment, legendary basketball matchup with the Pippins. Check that price tag. I get it. It's a bunch of threes because Scottie Pippen was number 33. $333,000 what? And it's like, okay, so you get to play a little 2-on-2 with Scottie and Scottie Jr., and then you get to have a meal with them, and then have a little bit of Scottie's bourbon that he made after dinner, and then he will sign you a personalized copy of his autobiography, Unguarded, that came out after The Last Dance, so that Scottie could tell his side of the story. That sounds like a cool event for any Scottie Pippen fans and any Bulls fans out there. $333,000. Am I insane? Who's spending that kind of money to spend an afternoon with Scottie and Scottie Jr.?
Wow. I mean,
No,
I don't know how much CHGO is paying you guys, but I've got the coin. No, this is absurd. This is ridiculous, and whoever pays for this is an absolute moron. But hopefully they do that.
I can tell you who can pay for it. Jerry Reinsdorf. He's the NBA evaluations came in today. Bulls are number 4 on the list at $4.1 billion, and
that's a horrible
tax
segue.
payments coming back. So they're getting money every year on the tax bill. So I think he can probably afford it.
I like it. You segued it into a dig. That was different.
I had to.
That was different. That was different. I'll say, man, look, I'm scared of this because I think, first of all, why is Scottie Pippen Jr. there? Step one. Second of all, nobody's paying any money to see him. No disrespect to him, but nobody's paying no money to see Junior. All right. They want to see Scottie Pippen. My thing is, I think Scottie
couldn't get MJ to agree to do the 2-on-2 game with Scottie.
I think they're doing it like this because Scottie isn't going to be hanging around. I think Scottie's just going to do the bare minimum, and you're going to spend most of your time with Scottie Jr. So he'll show up, he'll hand you a bottle of that moonshine that he's selling, he'll sign your book, and then you might not. He's not going to play. You're not going to play Scottie Pippen. You know what I mean? He's going to have his son play against you. You know, maybe give you a tour of the house or something. But it's going to be the bare minimum from Scottie Pippen, and I think most of this time will be spent with Scottie Pippen Jr.
Seriously, people, please do not pay for this. I would love to see some report come out and that just says nobody did it. Nobody paid for it. It didn't happen.
Report that.
Somebody
reported on.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Somebody do this, please. I need to see pictures. Hilarious. I want to know. I want to know.
I know some people are making their jokes about like, oh, Scottie's, paying alimony or, desperate for money, needs this money. It does say on Neiman Marcus's website that Scottie is donating 100% of his proceeds, which is $278,000 of that $333,000, to the Shy Prep Academy, a non-for-profit program that promotes high standards of academics, entrepreneurship, and athletics here in Chicago. So Scottie's not making any money off of this. So I guess it's just Neiman Marcus that makes money off of this. And why? Why do we need to give Neiman Marcus more money?
I don't know. I'm wondering what Scottie gets out of this then now. Like, do you have to buy some of his drink? I don't get what, or maybe you bought the book and you're bringing it to him to autograph for you. I don't know what Scottie gets out of this right here.
The book's like $20 and it's already on the bestseller list. So I'm sure Scottie's already making buckets of money on that book.
Yeah, I'm sure he is, man. I'm sure he is. Wow. But 270, so the rest of that is for his son. That's interesting. Go ahead.
Well, maybe he just wants to connect with his son and just have a nice moment with his son. Just a good Father's Day type activity with some stranger who pays $330,000 or whatever it is. But, I mean, you probably should have led with that, Matt, because I feel bad now for maybe trashing this event.
Yeah, Matt. Yeah, you did bury the lead, Matt. You did bury the lead, right?
Sorry, Scottie.
You see Will making digs at the front office, and you're like, well, that money's going to charity.
But I mean, I think I didn't bury it on purpose, but some of these other things that Scottie's been getting up to in the last few years, his bourbon, the book, I think those things very much were about Scottie making money.
Yeah, true. Yeah, true. No question. That's question. He's not playing in that game, though. I stand by that. There's no way he's playing in that game, man. There's no way. Absolutely not. Scottie Pippen Jr. will be giving you the business in that one right there. Absolutely.
And dogs want, cats two in the comments, of course, had to throw in that no Tippin' Pippen nickname. Poor guy.
Pippen. Oh, man.
Ouch.
I remember those days.
All right, that's it. That's the silliness for today. Moving on, we're going to dive into Vooch next and talk about what he's been doing well on the floor for the Bulls. But first, today's episode brought to you guys by our wonderful friends at Shady Rays, who never understood why sunglasses were so expensive. So they set out to change it. You don't have to break the bank for quality sunglasses this fall because our friends at Shady Rays have you covered. Shady Rays are premium, polarized shades featuring world-class optical clarity, substantial durability, and styles catered to everyone and every lifestyle. The best part about Shady Rays, they've got the most insane protection program in all of eyewear, lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your shades on day one, they told us that they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Dropped in the lake, off a cliff, throw them because you're mad at the Bulls for losing. Doesn't matter. They'll replace them. Shady Rays also provides 10 meals to fight hunger in America with every order placed and have donated over 20 million meals to date. They stand behind their product and told our team if anyone has a problem, they throw profit out the window and do what it takes to make it right. Free returns and exchanges. You either love the shades or Shady Rays will pay you to ship them back. Simple as that. And exclusively for our CHGO listeners, Shady Rays is running their deepest deal of the season. Use promo code CHGO and you will get 50% off 2 or more pairs at shadyrays.com. That's buy one, get one. Or, Dave, another way to call that,
BOGO.
Hey! BOGO. Love the buy one, get one. 2 pairs for as low as $54 total. With that promo code CHGO. Redeem only at shadyrays.com, where you can find all their newest and best shades.
I like that. Newest and best shades at Shady Rays. I got a new favorite number. My favorite number is usually 7, but I got a new one. That new favorite number is 75. Why? Because that's how many high-quality vitamins, minerals, whole food source, superfoods, probiotics, and oh my God, all the way down to my man Marquet in Australia, the adaptogens, ladies and gentlemen, helps you start your day correctly. It's AG1. It's Athletic Greens. That's special molecular ingredients that support your gut health, nervous system, immune system, energy recovery, focus, and your aging. All those things you want to take care of. Cost you less than $3 a day. You're investing in yourself. You're getting all those different supplements. You don't have to do that no more. It's cheaper than doing that. All-in-one nutritional insurance. That's what Athletic Greens is, y'all. It's vegan. It's dairy-free. It's gluten-free. Less than 1 gram of sugar. No GMOs. No nasty chemicals or artificial anything. And it does all this while still tasting amazing. Y'all already know what it's done for the GOAT. How it keeps the hair perfectly coiffed, how it keeps them on point. But look what it's doing for that man over there that they call Meat Peck. Matt Peck, it is hooking him up. He's got it in him. And Matt, you just said you got the re-up, correct?
Oh, yeah. It's on the way, baby. Almost
He's
down to the bottom of the barrel on my first 30 days worth.
Oh, this just makes me so proud. This is good things. You can do this too, y'all. And they're going to make it easy for you to do. Athletic Greens is going to give you a free 1-year supply of that immune supporting vitamin D and 5 of those free travel packs that Will loves so much. All you have to do is visit athleticgreens.com/CHGO Bulls. That's athleticgreens.com/CHGO Bulls to take ownership over your health and pick up the ultimate daily nutritional insurance because it's Athletic Greens. You know what you do. You scoop it, you dump it, you shake it, you drink it. Thrillenium.
You feel it.
All here.
Dave, I swear I thought you were going to say, when you said your favorite number, I thought you were going to say 24 because Javonte Green is looking like Athletic Green last night with these insane alley-oops. I mean, good Lord, dude, that guy is awesome.
Special alley-oops, man. Seriously, you're absolutely right about that.
The Javonte being metal as hell tweet that Mark put out earlier today was just absolutely delicious. That content is just right down the middle of my alley. I loved it.
It's good to know. I've found my niche in the Bulls contest sphere, so I'm going to try to continue doing it.
Yes,
but Javonte is giving us good content. So long as he's dunking on fools, then it's very easy for me to do my job.
And I mean, his highlights do sync up really well with some hardcore metal.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day. I learned that today. All right, guys, let's talk Vooch. We've got our Vooch appreciating column of people here, including Mark K, one of the greatest and strongest Vooch defenders last season when Bulls Nation was trashing him. We wanted to dive a little bit deeper into what we've seen from Vooch so far. Joey, do you have those number splits that I sent you that we can pop up here real quick, and then I'll get your guys' feedback on this. So you did see I highlighted a couple of columns there. This is Vooch last season compared to the first 5 this season. And you'll notice his field goal percentage is down. His three-point percentage still down from 31.5% to 28.5%. But those 3 columns, free throw attempts, free throw completion percentage, and what he's doing on the offensive glass are the parts of Vooch's game that I have noticed and appreciated thus far, making a difference for this team. Mark, what is it with you for Vooch so far? Is it something on offense? Is it something on defense that despite his shooting numbers, you're seeing him being a winning player out there?
I was going to start with the defense, to be honest with you, because I think that's one of the areas that he's most maligned in, I think unfairly. I think he's, people are too quick to react to his defense, probably for more so based on how he looks and how he's barely can get off the ground and those sorts of things. Not to suggest he's a good or great defender. I certainly wouldn't make that case, but I don't think he's as bad as what some suggest. But yeah, I think he's been visibly better this season than he was last season. I thought he was, average last season, did his job. Struggled once, you remove Lonzo and Caruso from the point of attack, but once you put back those guys at the point of attack, now you've got Io and Caruso in there. Vooch has been very commendable on defense, and he's been getting his hands into the lanes, creating opportunities for the Bulls to turn the ball over. His rebounding has been insanely good. Even his rim protection has been, he's had some nice filthy blocks to start this season. And that's not something I'm expecting from Vooch. I don't expect that to continue, but so long as he's in position, then that's all I really care about. And he has been in position. Part of that is on him, but part of that is on his teammates as well. So obviously the defensive side of the basketball court is all connected. You need 5 guys to be a good defense, or 4 if you're Carlos Boozer. But nonetheless, like Vooch has been really good on defense. I think we have to start there because that's where the area of where he's generally, I guess, trashed by some fans. And the other thing that I wanted to raise was something that I've been thinking about. Like, one of the biggest topics beyond Vooch's defense that everyone was talking about last year was his 3-point shooting. His 3-point shooting this season is worse from a percentage point. He's actually taking slightly more threes in terms of 3-point rate this season compared to last season, despite everyone telling Vooch last season that he should take less. But we haven't talked about that at all. And we haven't talked about that at all because he's doing so many good things that we're obviously going to talk about here. But yeah, I wanted to start with the defense because he's been really good on that end.
Yeah, I think defensively, what I've seen from him is just like meeting the ball handler a little bit higher in these pick and roll situations. Like we kind of joked about it and talked a lot about it last year where he was really dropping back in these pick and rolls. And Billy had that one comment in a pregame interview where he's like, we're not playing drop defense. Like Vooch needs to be higher. And that was just not what was happening. And so this year I have seen him up meeting the ball handler at the level of the screen a lot more. And that just makes his job so much easier. I think there's also been a little bit more attention to detail from the point of attack guys. Maybe it's just earlier on in the season, less wear and tear, a little bit more stamina, but they're getting over screens, I think, at a little bit higher of a level. And that makes Vooch look a lot better when they're not getting beaten so badly. So for him to be able to contain, he definitely gets hurt against some of those pick and pop bigs like we saw last night. Jalen Smith and Miles Turner have a couple of threes. Various other bigs like Al Horford in the game before, Evan Mobley. There's some great shooting bigs in this league, and that's still going to be a struggle when you have a guy that's a little bit heavier footed. But for him to just be able to stop dribble penetration a little bit further away from the basket, prevent the opposing offense from getting all the way into the teeth, and then they spray it out and you're in scramble mode and you're trying to make these rotations. To just cut that off at the beginning, nip it in the bud. I think that has really made the defense look a lot better. And I think the Bulls defense has been really good this year so far. They're 9th in defensive efficiency right now. Obviously really small sample, but you have to like what you're seeing. And I think Vooch has been a big part of it.
Yeah, huge part of it. And like you spoke about, Will, the way he defends those 3-point shooters, I don't even worry about. Because again, it's not normal for centers. It's more normal nowadays, but or as a whole, it's not normal for centers to be out there shooting 4 or 5 threes a game. So I'm okay with his defense on those big men. Because again, at the other end, they have to defend him. It's very hard for a center to defend all levels of a center. If he's the 3-point, the mid-range, and in the post. If you're doing all three of those things, you're an all-pro. Like, you're an MVP candidate. Like, if you're doing all three of those things. But with Vooch, I saw it, and I'm sure you guys saw it from the preseason, how much his defense had changed. How active. I first noticed how active he was in denying the entry pass. That was the first thing I noticed. His hands were just super active, and he was using his body, and he definitely looks in a little better shape. But he was using his body in such a way to body up those guys who were trying to post him up and let them know, like, no, dude, I'm 7 feet tall and really big as hell. So this isn't going to be an easy time for you. But also using his hands to continue to be active as well, to make it hard for the defender to establish position, hard for the guy getting the ball, I should say, to establish position on him. I really like that from Vooch when I saw that, and he's continued that on into this season. And Mark is right. Like, he's had some really awesome block shots. He's not known as a shot blocker or anything like that, but if you bring it to him, again, he knows how tall he is, and he's going to put his hands up, and he's going to block a shot if you bring it in there that way. And also that just plays into his defense as far as his defensive rebounding, which has always been good. But now I just really, truly see it more now, because he's had games where he's had 23 rebounds and 17 rebounds. And even in the 23 rebound one, he had 13 of those were defensive and 10 offensive rebounds, which is just absolutely ridiculous. So he's doing those things, that's a stop for me. If you don't have the ball, you can't do anything. That's a stop. He got a rebound. That's a stop. So I'm really enjoying what he's doing, starting it out on the defensive end of the ball and just being active. And yeah, he took a lot of heat last year for a lot of that stuff that wasn't his fault, because everything was just kind of funneled to him. And yeah, I just like that he came back more determined and actually putting a little more in, like I said, being active with his hands and being active in trying to deny the entry pass.
Yeah, look, and on the defense, defense is entirely about trust and faith in teammates. So I still think the Bulls are in drop defense. I still think Vooch is in drop defense. Will noted that he's up higher in pick and roll, which is definitely true. But Vooch can be up higher in pick and roll if he has trust and faith in those around him. Like I mentioned the point of attack, but if you've got Io and Caruso, they're hounding the ball handler, and that they can stick over those guys when they're going over the screen, then you as the center are more willing to be up, because you're less concerned with the guy behind you, the guy that's slipping and rolling, your man maybe getting free. Similarly, you're more prepared to be up on the screen if that back line of your defense is there to come over and help when your guy, the 5-man, sets that screen and rolls. Like last season, maybe Vooch, look, I'm speculating here, but maybe he was less inclined to be up onto, up at the screen, because he just didn't have that level of faith or trust in his teammates, particularly after you lose Lonzo and Caruso in the second half of the season. So he's more concerned with his man, setting that screen, rolling, and then killing him on the back line from that point of view, which is, I think, a fair thing for him to be worried about last season, because that was a problem. But thus far this season, maybe beyond the Cavs game, the Bulls have been really good on defense. And we got a comment in here from Darius Wiggins saying, how real is this defense, or how good has the Bulls defense been? Well, so far on the season, through 5 games, the Bulls are 9th in defensive rating. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty good. If they can stay around 10 to 15, whilst hoping their offense, which has probably been more problematic than their defense thus far, if they can get both of those things at league average, like in the 10 to 15 range, you're talking about a very good basketball team. So I think their defense is real, so long as their personnel remains. This is a team that can't afford to lose 1 or 2 guys from a defensive point of view, as we saw last season. But coming back to my point, it all starts with trust and faith in the guys around you. And thus far, at point guard, we've got some good defensive players in there, even without Lonzo. I've been banging on about that all off season, but I think that enables someone like Vooch to just be more confident in what he does defensively, and the whole scheme works.
And switching to what we've seen from Vooch offensively, Cub Guy in the comments said if Vooch can just start hitting his shot, I think Ayo will turn more heads because it seems like Ayo sets him up well. And not just with pick and pop, but we've seen them establish a really quality two-man game that's gotten Vooch and or Ayo good looks at the rim in this first 5 stretch of games. Joey, do we have that one clip that Will posted on Twitter a few days back? I can't remember if it was the Cavs game, the Wizards game. But there was one really great one where it doesn't just highlight the Ayo and Vooch chemistry, but Vooch moving off the ball. I think a lot of times last season, Vooch kind of got stuck as either trying to establish post position or just sitting around the three-point line. But here you see, look, it's a simple cut that Vooch makes, but Ayo finds him. It's simple, but it's movement off the ball, and Ayo finds him. If we can continue to see this chemistry between Ayo and Vooch develop, whether it's pick and pops and Vooch hopefully knocking down some threes, because we've seen him hit some this season, or just simple little two-man game stuff like that, just like that clip that we just watched.
I love it's kind of like counterintuitive almost, but I really love the way that the Bulls are just like positioning him on the floor. Ayo's passing for one has been phenomenal, and I wrote about that last night in the game recap. But just having Vooch in the corner, I think one, he's like a more reliable, confident spot up shooter. So when he gets those off, I think it makes a little bit more sense than, you know, Patrick even or Javonte or some of these guys that are a little bit more hesitant and a little bit more streaky. But he also just gets into these situations similar to that play that you just showed, Joey, where, you know, the ball will get swung to the wing or the corner and they'll go straight into a dribble handoff pick and roll, like an empty side pick and roll. And like Vooch will either get a baseline pop jumper or be able to get into the block on a switch. And like, that is where he thrives. And then off of that, you see some more backdoor cutting. Derek Jones and Javonte have been really good there on the weak side. And you get to see a little bit more of his playmaking from the block, but it's within the flow of the offense. And I think he clearly looks way more comfortable in that situation where like some of the offense is flowing through him, but even if it's not, like he's a part of the offense, there's more movement. And like, he's just getting more scoring opportunities on different parts of the floor where, you know, a lot of bigs, most bigs spend a lot of time in that sort of middle third of the court, that middle tunnel. And that's where Vooch was a lot of last season, but it was mostly just like pick and pops. And whether he is a high percentage good 3-point shooter or not, and I think he's a better shooter than his numbers would have suggested, but like he clearly just didn't feel comfortable in that role. And when he was getting that ball on those pick and pop scenarios, like it wasn't, you know, he didn't feel comfortable with it. And so I think that did affect his shooting ability. I think he's going to end up with a higher 3-point percentage than last year. I know it's a little bit lower right now, but I just really like the way that he's been playing. I love the way that Billy's used him. It's pretty creative. I don't see a lot of teams putting their big men in the corners like that. But it seems to be working for Vooch. He just looks so much more comfortable out there.
Yeah, he looks very comfortable out there. You're right. And I just quickly, y'all, just that play Ayo did on that was so awesome. Just watching him see Vooch's man come off, but actually act like he was going to the bucket to draw both of those defenders to him and then make that pass over to Vooch. It's just awesome. That's stellar stuff, honestly. But Vooch, you're right. Will, talking about that pick and put he was doing a lot of last year. You saw him taking a lot of those mid-range buckets last year and not hitting them often at a high clip or anything like that. And that's how he would kind of start his game. He would take the first few jump shots of the game. And, you know, it just reminded me of like Luke Longley or Horace Grant when they would take those first few jump shots of the game just to get themselves going. But with Vooch, it's different now this year. Now it's, no, man, give it to me in the post. I'm going to get it there, or we're going to, you know, run the pick and roll, and I'm going to try to get these easy layups or these easy little hooks because he still has that nice touch that is really rare for a dude his size around the bucket. And seeing him doing that early and then taking that outside is the game that I'm really enjoying him doing. And Cub Guy also pointed out that those tip rebounds that he's doing as well. I've seen him do that a lot this season, and he's doing a great job of that, just tipping it out and keeping the ball alive and keeping possessions alive for his team. He's doing a really great job of that as well. But to not be able to have a high percentage shooting, not be able to have a high percentage from the 3-point line, but I'm still dependent on you to be 18 points, 17 points a game from you, along with double digits in rebounds. just really speaks to how smart he is on the basketball court. Like he's like, I can't do this. Well, then I'm gonna do that. Oh, this isn't working. Well, I'm gonna do that. Well, now I'm gonna add free throw shooting to this. That man had a whole game where he didn't miss a free throw. Like it was great. I watched him foul out Porzingis and put him out the game. I watched him just Horford. Like that's how he got 23 rebounds because Horford is dealing with a bacchiotomy and he's not coming down there in the post. So he did a great job. He does a great job of taking advantage of what is given to him now, instead of not really forcing it like he would, like he was in Orlando. He's like, well, this worked for me in Orlando. It should be working for me now here. He's not doing that now. He's like, okay, I tried it, didn't work. Let's try it this way. This seems to be working a little bit better. Let's flow with it like this. That's a really intelligent basketball player.
Yeah, definitely. And look, the one call out area that I would say that I'm maybe questioning the sustainability of, and you sort of mentioned it there, Dave, is the free throw shooting. His free throw rate at the moment is basically 35%. His career free throw rate is 15%. So he's way over at the moment in that regard. I don't know if that's going to maintain. Now, obviously, a small sample size. There was one game where he had 12
I think it was
attempts.
Just exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So that's blowing that number out. So I'm definitely not expecting that to sustain itself. But if it can be, something more representative than what it was last year, like it was only 10% last year. He's been upwards of 15, 16, even 20% at some stages during his Orlando career. So he's got scope to be what he was, or more than what he was last season with the Bulls. So hopefully that can remain high-ish. That way, even if his jumper isn't falling, he's still being an efficient player for you. But the last thing I want to say about Vooch, and this is not something that we talk about enough, but he just has to be one of the easiest centers to play with. If I am a guard, like if I'm Io, for example, and we can reference that play like that we looked at before. But if I'm a ball handler and I know my dude is setting me some nice big, tasty screens, well, one, not every big does that, so that's important to have. But a lot of bigs can't do what Vooch can do on offense, whether it's rolling, whether it's popping, whether it's using him as a passer. Like just knowing if I'm the ball handler and I'm in pick and roll with Vooch, that I have all these additional options that I wouldn't have with someone else. Like even Andre Drummond, for example. Like Drummond has been really good for the Bulls this season, but there's only you've got certain limitations in what you can do if you're the ball handler playing pick and roll with Andre Drummond compared to someone like Vooch. So I think, even when Vooch himself isn't having a good game, just his mere presence, his mere talent, he makes it so much easier if you are the on-ball guy, whether you're Io, DeRozan, Levine, whoever you are. Like, I think that's just something that we don't speak about enough, and maybe it's something that's not appreciated enough because it's the small intangible stuff that we maybe just ignore when someone's 2 for 8 or whatever the situation may be.
Yeah, I would say the other piece of that for me is that the guard play has really improved, and I think that makes life a lot easier for Vooch to be able to do the things that he's good at. So we talked about Aya. There was a play that stood out last night where they were running a little side pick and roll, and Io just got the it was I think I broke down the play in my write-up, so there's a more detailed breakdown of it in there. But essentially what happened was Io was coming off a screen, Halliburton jumped it, so Io wisely switched directions and went back to his right hand there on the right side of the court. And at that point, it's a 2-on-1, right? So Vooch's man is containing both Vooch and Io. And as soon as Isaiah Jackson stepped over to try to contain the ball, pocket pass, and Vooch had it. And I didn't get the assist on this play because Vooch hit Kobe in the corner for a 3. But it just that's the kind of play where, yes, you probably can see Vooch making those kinds of passes throughout the course of the game. But when you have really good guard play like that, and you just see the steps that Io's taking as a on-ball pick and roll creator. Dragic is another example of somebody who's just been so freaking good at it. I think Zach has improved a lot there as well. To be able to get the ball to Vooch in spots where then he can go ahead and make the play. It's creating the advantage so that Vooch can create the next advantage. I think you gotta, it's like a whole ecosystem thing. And I think you gotta shout out the guards there too, for putting Vooch in a position to show off what he can do passing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Appreciate all y'all's thoughts on Vooch. Hopefully we see him continue to just absolutely do his thing for the Bulls this season and bring up that shooting percentage just a bit. We're going to wrap things up in just a minute by taking a look around the league, some teams that are piquing our interest through the first week or so of games. But first, Big Dave, there's still some quality golf weather days left in Chicago. Tell the people how they can get ready for the links.
Pins and aces. That's how the hell you get ready. I don't know why I'm so excited about golf. I just am. But it's not golf. It's the actual products that Pins and Aces has, because they make those amazing polos, hats, the golf bags, and of course, I should just call this the Matt Peck item of the decade, the beer sleeve. That innovative product that allows you to store 7 beers right inside your golf bag to keep the drinks cold the entire round. So the next time Will is on the link and he got to bring Matt, and Matt starts complaining because he's going to do that, Will can just go ahead into the beer sleeve and say, here's a frosty cold one, and then everything will be quite all right. So check out pensandaces.com. Use that promo code CHGO and receive 15% off your first order. And just because you're awesome and beautiful, you'll get free shipping too. Get two of them things, y'all. All you got to do, pensandaces.com. Go ahead and save yourself some money and look good, because when you play good, you look good. And when you look good, it's all good.
Today's episode also brought to you guys by our friends at DraftKings. NBA fans, the wait's over. Basketball is back. So tip off the season with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA and our official sports betting partner at CHGO. New customers can make any $5 NBA moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. And check this out. In addition to the usual bets, everyone could boost their winnings up to 100% with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. So go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, opt in, and place a stepped-up same-game parlay tonight. We got a pretty awesome slate of games tonight. We got Mavs Nets at 6:30. Then we got Heat Warriors at 9. There's some great solid stuff. I mean, like Grizzlies Kings. You got Fox versus Ja tonight. All kinds of fun betting action.
Ja.
Clippers Thunder. Like even that game has fun betting written all over it. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code CHGO. Make any $5 bet this week and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with that promo code CHGO. All right, gentlemen, with our allotted time remaining, wanted to look around and kind of talk about a few other teams in the league that are piquing our interest so far this season for either good reasons or bad reasons. Dave, let's start with you.
Yeah. Oh, man. Well, feels good to say this. Well, not the team, but just the player. But the Utah Jazz. Watching the Utah Jazz play basketball has been fun for me, which is something I have not said maybe ever in my life. But it's been entertaining because I've been able to watch my man Lowry Markkanen. Now, everybody knows I've had residency on Lowry Island for a very long time. I left the island, you know what I'm saying? I had to get away because it was surrounded. Water was just surrounding it. It was time to go. But the tide has gone away. And now, as soon as I heard, and Matt can attest to this, Mark K, Matt can attest to this. As soon as I heard that man was going to Utah, I told Matt, he's home. This is exactly where he should be. This is the perfect place for him. That dude is home, all right? And he has shown it every single game, honestly, since he's been there. It's been the Lowry you see in Finland. Like when I sit there and watch his games, and the games I used to, when he was a Bull, and I would watch those Finland highlights and get angry because I'm like, how the hell aren't you doing that here? Well, you seeing him doing that in Utah, man. He just looks so comfortable. They're utilizing him in everything. You've seen them doing everything that most teams were trying to do with him, allow him to bring the ball up, set up the offense, get down in the post, the three-point shot, all those things are now being utilized to his advantage over in Utah. It's just clicking for him nicely over there. He's averaging 22 and 8, basically 22 and 9, 3 assists a game. And he's just such a vital, important piece for them. And it's just fun to watch, man. For me, it's just fun to watch Lowry be comfortable in himself and in his game and have a little flavor when he goes up. You knew it was comfortable when he dunked on Rudy Gobert. That's when you knew it was seriously comfortable for that dude, because just the cockiness with it that he did. And he's not doing the Lowry disappearing that we've seen. He'd have that game and then you would see him just disappear. And by disappear, he wouldn't score like that, but then he would disappear into the corner and just shoot threes for the rest of the game. You ain't seeing that this season so far with Lowry marketing, man. I'm seeing the Lowry that I thought that he was going to be. And it's just good to see, man. And it's translating into wins for that team. I think they're 4-1, 3-1 or 4-1 right now. So he and Jordan Clarkson and Conley, it seems to be meshing well with them so far.
You think he and that team are for real with this early start?
No.
I think even if they are for real, Danny Ainge is about to trade Mike Conley and Jordan Clarkson and Malik Beasley so fast that they're not going to be for real much longer.
Exactly. Lowry's the only one staying. You know what I mean? He's the only one that will be on the team. And maybe it's because he knows it's about him, that maybe that's why he feels so comfortable, because he knows it's on him, period. It doesn't matter if Jordan Clarkson takes the ball and doesn't pass it to anybody for 6 minutes. Lowry knows that he's the option number one on that squad, and maybe that's helping him.
Yeah, I think it's interesting about that team is because, like, Colin Sexton seemed like he could have been sort of the prize jewel, obviously outside of the picks of that deal, but really it has been Lowry, and he is a featured piece, but there's still a lot of talent around him to where he can take advantage of that. Like, Kelly Olynyk has been playing really well. Jared Vanderbilt is just amazing. Like, he's probably going to be, an all defensive caliber player. They just have, they have a lot of pieces. They have good wing defense. They've got shooting. And I think when you put guys in a situation where it's easy to score because there's so much talent and shooting and spacing around you. And also, like, it's a good reminder to us that, like, players do not fully develop by the age of 21 or 22. And, it takes
careful. We don't want to trigger Mark. We don't want to trigger Mark.
I don't see how that could be triggering. Like,
I'm triggered. I'm triggered that we're falling for a 5-game sample for Lowry marketing. Like, we've been here. We've been burnt before, friends. I know it's not February right now, but come on.
I ain't seen this, man. Not this, bro. This. Okay, but okay, I hear you.
It
but
could
this
totally
looks
go
different.
downhill, but like,
it could.
These are flashes of him being a really good player, and whether that sustains is a different question. But like, that's something that you can't really say for some of the other, former Bulls draft picks who haven't really done that.
Yeah. So I'll wait a month then for you, Mark. I'll wait till November Lowry ends, and then I'll go to December, and then we'll see. We'll see what we got.
I'm going to need 30 games. None of this 5-game nonsense. I got burnt in February of 2019 or whatever it was. I said some wild things about Larry that I deeply regret. I can't come back from that now, but I'm not going back in now. That's the minimum requirement here. I need 30 games, Larry, before I believe.
Yeah,
right.
And there, I mean,
does that mean you're also going to give Pat 30 games before declaring that he's officially trash?
Hey, I haven't done that. Maybe some meatheads have, but I haven't done that.
There's a difference between playing well and being good, and I think that's where we're at with both of those guys. Like, there's a difference between playing poorly and being bad.
Yeah. Like, it looks sure now. It's different. It's just, I don't know. It feels different. But you're right. It's early, but it feels different.
Yeah, we have seen a sample size this large or even larger from Lowry before, where he played this well. What about you, Mark? Which team's catching your eye?
Well, I mean, you guys picked one in the rundown, but I'm breaking the system here by selecting 3, and I'll touch on them quickly. But like, the first one that I'm actually like, and I'm not the only one in this, but like the Pelicans, they look pretty goddamn amazing, and the win that they had the other day without Zion, without Ingram, without Herb Jones, 3 starters, 3 of your best players to beat the Mavericks, like, that was a legit win, and just really highlighted like how deep this team is, and they're young guys that they have are really, really impressive. The way they all fit together, the way they all know their role, despite being, playing around, maybe better talent like guys like Zion and Ingram, guys like Dyson Daniels, Australia's own Dyson Daniels, like, just come in, play a role, and found a way to impact the rotation. Herb Jones did that last season. Yeah, just a really, really nice team. So I'm actually quite scared about the Pelicans, and they obviously did some interesting things against the Bulls in preseason, but that team, if it can remain healthy, and that's the trick. Obviously, Ingram's got a concussion, Zion's missed a game or 2 already. Not serious stuff, but at the same time, You don't want to see those guys missing games. But, I mean, CJ McCollum as well is very similar to the DeRozan trade in that sense. He's just been a stabilizing force for that young team. So I love everything the Pelicans are doing, and I hope they can sustain this because that would be a really fun story. But just want to quickly touch on the Suns and the Spurs. I mean, the Suns, I assume, we're going to implode based on how everything has been going for them thus far. But the reverse has happened. They look like the same old Suns now. Obviously, regular season games doesn't really matter at this point for them, given what they did last season. But like I said, I just assumed things would just completely fall off after DeAndre and after the ownership issues, after all of the nonsense that they've gone through with Jay Crowder in their offseason, haven't really added to their team. But again, they've found another Australian in Jock Landale, who's playing really good for them as backup center. So I have to give them some love. But and the other team, connecting it back to the Bulls, the Spurs are 3-2, and they're getting it done because Kelton Johnson and Devin Vassell look pretty damn good on the wing there. So whilst I'm glad or potentially glad that if Zach rests, that he rests that knee, like get that rest if you need it, I don't think we should be taking the Spurs too lightly because they've been pretty good this season thus far. And, you know, they beat the Sixers, and the Sixers haven't been impressive this season, but nonetheless, like this, for the Spurs to go and get that W, that's impressive. So the Bulls, hopefully they don't take it too easy against the Spurs tomorrow because they might make them look a little foolish.
Yeah,
yo, I was laughing, Mark, because I was noticing the theme. I was noticing the theme in your first two teams, bro. That's why I was laughing. I know it's a little theme.
I know.
What about you, Will? What teams catch your eye?
I wanted to call out the Blazers. One, because they are just on fire right now. They're 4-1. Damian Lillard is back. He had like back-to-back 40-point games, and
Top 10 in the league in scoring so far.
I love Dame, and so I'm really happy that he was able to come back and play like that. Anthony Simons had a 6 straight 3 in the third quarter night the other night. Jeremy Grant trade is working out. Shaden Sharp is awesome. Like I really like what they're doing over there. Nurkic is starting to get back to his old self, and they're not this good. Like they're around 15th in net rating, offensive and defensive rating. And so they're 12th in net rating. They're not going to be this good through the course of the season, but it's important because the Bulls have their pick lottery protected until 2028 if it conveys, if it doesn't convey before then. But like I feel like this is kind of the year for that pick to potentially convey, just because like Dame is 32, he's getting older. You never know what direction a team like that is going to take. And in a draft where the Bulls are in all likelihood not going to have their own pick, and it's a deep draft and a really talented draft, I mean, that could be huge to get a mid to late first round pick out of this. So I'm keeping my eye on the Blazers all year round, not only because they're a fun team with one of the coolest superstars in the league, but they also have some good young talent, and their ability to perform at a high level could heavily influence or impact the Bulls, come draft time. So keep an eye on them.
It's a really cool start to the season for them, and I think a feel-good story when you think about just in the last couple of years how much drama and scandal that Blazers organization has been embroiled in, and all the while wondering, is Dame finally going to ask out? And the fact that he's continuing to double down and after a tough year dealing with injuries and whatnot, say, hey, I'm still Dame Lillard and I'm still wearing a Blazers jersey, and get off to a start like this is really cool. And you're also, of course, will correct to point out the implications for Bulls fans if that Blazers team actually says, no, we're a playoff team. The West is stacked, but we're a playoff team, damn it. It's very, very fascinating how they've started. I wanted to highlight a team in the East, and a team that we have on deck this weekend. After San Antonio, we got to play a Philly 76ers. Joey, can you just quickly play that clip I sent you of this transition defense the Sixers displayed in their game the other night? And shout out to our guy Stefano, who's the one who posted this on Twitter. Yikes. The Sixers are off to a rough start. I think they're 1-4. And we all know what they were going to be, certainly offensively. But watch this. Okay, Harden gets his shot stripped. Watch this transition defense. The Raptors even lose control of the ball and give Philly a chance to get back defensively. And then you just see 5 guys just sort of meandering slowly back the other way. I mean, this is
man.
unacceptable. Look at that.
Oh,
Look
man.
at that.
Oh, man.
And here's the thing to me. The Sixers are not an offensive rebounding team. They are, as of right now, the worst offensive rebounding team in the NBA. They are also not a team that plays with great pace. As of right now, they have the slowest pace in the NBA. It's like 94 is their pace of play right now. So if you don't play fast and you don't crash the offensive glass, what the F is your excuse to not get back and play some transition defense? You don't have one. There's no excuse. And between that and the way that Maxey has been marginalized when Harden's on the floor, I just don't really understand what's going on in Philly right now. I'm already feeling good about my bet with Mark that they are not going to win the Eastern Conference Finals. But what I am feeling bad about is at least picking them to finish as the East top seed. The reason I made that bet with you, Mark, is because I've never believed in Harden or Embiid as playoff closers. And I was like, well, that's an automatic win. But I at least thought that they were going to be a team that racks up wins in the regular season based on sheer talent alone. I also now don't feel great about picking Embiid for MVP. I don't think this is just a sluggish start. Maybe Doc Rivers is finally going to get looked at through a closer lens and say maybe he's part of the problem. But with all the talent that team has on paper, this first 5 games of them, woof. And now it's like, oh no, I do not believe Embiid's going to be the MVP, and I do not believe that this Philly team is going to be the 1 seed. And it took me 5 games to change my mind about that.
You referenced our bet there, Matthew, and I cannot go on record trashing Larry fans. Dave, I apologize for not believing in Larry after 5 games because me, the absolute idiot, suggested that the Sixers were going to win the East and made a bet with Matt. But what an absolute douchebag I am. So I take that back, Dave. If you want to go all in on Larry after 5 games, you're more than welcome because I took the freaking foolish Sixers without even seeing them play 1 game and assumed that they would win the East. What an absolute tool bag I was. So I apologize to you, Dave. I apologize to Larry. Anyone else who feels good about Larry, I'm an idiot. I apologize.
You know what's so wild is teams that are off to the good start, we're like, yeah, that's going to even out. But the teams off to a bad start, we're like, oh, shit, it's over. It's no balance at all. But the
0-4 Lakers are for real, terrible. They're
the Lakers are for real. Yeah, no, they're for real. That's true. They're for real bad. They're for real.
Well, there's a difference between doing something that we absolutely did not expect and doing something that we absolutely did expect. And the Lakers are doing exactly what we expected. And the Sixers and the Jazz are completely on the opposite ends of the spectrum in ways that we could not have ever foreseen. Nobody could have.
Who even after 5 games had it Jazz, Blazers, Suns, Pelicans, and Grizzlies as your top 5? Who had that? Who had Bucks, Celtics, Knicks, Hawks, and Wizards as the top 5 in the East? Who had that? You know what I mean? It's
Bucks,
so weird.
Celtics, yeah, okay, sure. But
keep going.
Absolute nonsense. Although my Brooklyn finishing worse than the Bulls in the East prediction so far is looking pretty good because that Brooklyn team is a mess.
True.
They're playing the Dallas tonight. Can't wait to watch that game. All right, we are out of time. We've gone overtime, and we got to let Joey go because he's got White Sox coming up on deck. Stay tuned on the CHGO Sports YouTube channel for a fresh CHGO Sox with our guys, Vinny, John, Herb. In the meantime, until tomorrow night, you can catch us on Twitter, Will_Gottlieb, MK Hoops, Bow, BWL Sports, Bulls_Peck. We are CHGO_Bulls. 7:30 Central Time tip-off tomorrow night against San Antonio. So that means 7 p.m. pregame. We will see you there. Hit that thumbs up button before you head out and make sure you're subscribed to the CHGO Sports YouTube channel. For Joey, Will, Mark, and Big Dave, I'm Peck. Thanks, y'all, for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow night. Bulls and Spurs. See you, Red. Be good.